It's 2022. Why am I making a video about music from 2018? Because I want to. I'm Luke, this is Stage 76. So 2018 was a very interesting year in my life. I was 1 year graduated from college and completely jobless for a majority of that time. One thing that kept me going through all of that was all of the awesome music that came out during that time. Seriously, I don't know of another year that I have connected with music so much as I did in 2018. So many fantastic albums came out that year, and I just want to sit here and gush about them for a few minutes. I know I normally don't really talk about the music itself in a lot of these videos, but today I feel like talking about the actual music because you know what? The shows don't exist without the music. So I'm going to tell you about a few albums that I absolutely love. This is the top 10 albums of 2018. A disclaimer about this list before we start. This was not actually the top 10 albums that I loved in 2018. I actually have had to go back and revise this list. If you dig far back enough on my Twitter, you can find my top 5 albums of 2018. Well, that list has been revised. I had to add a new number 10 and a number 1 because I heard new albums from that year later on that I had to add to this list. So here we go, let's get into it. Number 10, Holy Hell by Architects. I'm going to be real with you. I did not hear this album until last year. 2021 was the first time that I listened to Holy Hell all the way through. And it's one of those ones, it took a little while to grow on me. Honestly, most of my favorite albums take some time to grow on me. There have been very few albums that I loved from the jump. This one, though, I heard all the singles from it way back in the day, except somehow I missed Doomsday. I don't know how. Probably one of the most influential songs on one of the most influential albums in all of metalcore I missed out on when it was originally out, but here we are. I finally heard it last year, and I've loved it ever since. This album is basically just peak metalcore. You really can't get much better than this. I say that when I still have 9 other albums to talk about on this list. Statue of the King! Number 9, Avatar's Avatar Country. This might be a little bit of a controversial take on this one. I actually really love this album and was disappointed the last time that I saw Avatar that they didn't play anything off of this album. I think it's just also really cool how they managed to sneak the word king into the title of every single song on the album. My favorite track on this album has to be A Statue of the King. The chorus of that song just hits so hard with the high-pitched vocals and the real fast drumming. This album goes a little bit all over the place as well, with songs like The King Welcomes You to Avatar Country. The title of that one is a mouthful, but it's a fantastic one. And then you also have the weird, just spoken word track, The King Speaks, and it's a weird one, but I really like it. Number 8, Revival by Light the Torch. Now, I am a gigantic Killswitch Engage fan, so naturally, I've got to pay attention to Light the Torch. I was a fan of the band before the name change. They Bleed Red was one of my favorite albums the year that came out, and this was a fantastic follow-up to that album. It's a little bit of a departure, not quite as heavy as a lot of the Devil You Know stuff, but I still really like this album. From the first single, Die Alone, that came out, I was hooked from the beginning there. They just keep piling on the good ones. Safety of Disbelief, Calm Before the Storm, Virus. This album goes so hard. Now, we're really getting into the good stuff. Number 7, The Future by From Ashes to New. I started listening to this album right as I was getting out of a very bad time of my life and then going into a very, we'll call it interesting part of my life. My main concert going buddy said, "Hey, Bad Wolves and From Ashes to New are playing this show. Let's go." I'm like, okay, sweet. Let's do it. So I started getting really into From Ashes to New, and this was the newest album at that point. Crazy was the big song off of this one, but that's really not even close to where the good tracks end on it. My personal favorite probably got to be Broken, and for some reason it was really weird to hear Matt saying "Days, Weeks in the Basement" in that song at a venue called The Basement, so it's like he was there for days and days. Some other standout tracks from the album include Gone Forever, Forgotten, The Future, and My Name. If you like the Linkin Park flavor of nu metal, you'll probably really like this album. Number 6, we are into my original top 5 now. Here we have Error Zone by Vane. Now, admittedly, what got me into this album was 4chan. Mind you, I basically only peruse the music forum on 4chan at this point in my life, but I was constantly seeing this album posted as like top album of the year so far back when I was still doing that. It took me a few months to finally actually get around to listening to it, but once I did, that very first riff at the beginning of Virus Vibrance, it's something that really helped set me down the rabbit hole of more metallic hardcore. Yes, I know metalcore is metal and hardcore, but in this instance, I really mean more of the hardcore edge in this. If I never started listening to this album specifically, I probably wouldn't be into a lot of the hardcore, deathcore type stuff I'm into today. Sure, Code Orange got me started with Forever back in 2017, but this one really pushed me over the edge. So close your eyes, let this we have entered the top 5 zone. Number 5 is The Lit and the Lost by The World I Knew. I saw this band in 2017 at Ink and the Clink, opening up the main stage. From the first time I saw them, my jaw hit the floor. I immediately went over to their merch booth, bought their CD, which was on a burnt CD with Sharpie written on it. I still carry with me in my laptop bag to this day. And once I figured out this album was coming out, I was so hyped. I've never heard another album anything quite like this. They call themselves the world's first trap metal band, and the term trap metal was definitely not big at this time. This album just hits all the right notes all the way through. Songs like Burn Me Alive, Low Life, and Self-Made Messiah just go so hard the entire way through. You got nice chugging, chugga riffs. You got these cool rapping and screaming vocals. Like, I can't call it nu metal. It's not like nu metal at all. It's like metalcore with little bits of rap in it. Obvious best track on the album is BOTM, aka Back on the Menu, which is just an absolute party rap rock song, and I absolutely adore that song. I've been lucky enough to be able to talk to the dudes in this band a couple of times. They have rebranded to the moniker of Young Mosh. Young Mosh does not have any music out yet as of recording this video, and from the time of filming this as well, I'm going to miss their next show because I will have to work. If you don't check out any other album on this list, go check out this album. Number 4, we have entered butt rock territory. We've got Bad Wolves Disobey, the best Bad Wolves album. Bad Wolves were exploding off of the hype behind their Zombie cover, which is featured on this album, and that's not even close to the best track on this album. The best track is actually Hear Me Now featuring Diamante, which is not even on the original CD. If you have a first run CD of this album, you have the version of Hear Me Now without Diamante, which is not as good. It's not just the vocals, the instrumentation is changed up a little bit. It makes it so much better. I feel lucky that the vinyl version that I have actually does have the Diamante version of Hear Me Now on it. You had the other real big songs like Learn to Live, which actually came out long before Zombie even did, and Remember When, which kind of blew up a little bit after Zombie had died down a little bit. But honestly, one of the most standout tracks is the opener, Officer Down. Sucks that Tommy Vexed had to go be Tommy Vexed. DL's awesome though, but I absolutely love this Bad Wolves album more than the others. It's like holding on when my Number 3, Disease by Beartooth. 2018 is a year I started listening to a lot more music. I started expanding my horizons a lot more. Before that, I was really, really limited in what I was choosing to listen to. That's why I probably won't ever make a video about like entire albums before 2018. So I remember a bunch of my friends were ranting and raving on about the new Lil Wayne album that came out. I didn't have any desire to listen to that, so I wanted to be some sort of rebel. So what came out the same day? Disease by Beartooth. And holy crap, I've been a gigantic fan of Beartooth ever since. But as soon as I heard Bad Listener, just that real opening only guitar part, and then the drums kick in after Caleb screams, I'll be banging my head till my brain rots. It's just... I also just saw Beartooth like 4 days ago, so I'm like still hyped off the back of that. Oh my gosh. After All, Manipulation, Disease, Clever. So many good songs on this album. It was a big contender for my original number 1 in 2018, but I could not let it lose out to what I picked for, well, what is now my number 2. Number 2, Ghost, Prequel. I don't know how to pronounce it. I could look it up, but I'm not going to because it's more fun this way. Legitimately never hyped up an album more than this album, and it shattered every expectation that I had. A lot of people go rant and rave about, oh, Ghost isn't real metal. I don't care. I like music I like. If it's real metal or not, I don't care. This is why I don't even say I'm a metal fan. I always say I am a heavy music fan. And people will also say that Ghost isn't heavy enough, but I don't care. When Rats came out, that was absolutely banging. What came out after Rats? Dance Macabre, which to this day might still be my absolute favorite Ghost song. Good old Ritual from their debut is also real up there for me, but I really gotta give it to Dance Macabre. Hot take, I actually really like Pro Memoria. So many people I talk to don't like that song, but I absolutely love it. I remember when I saw them play that song live before the album even came out. I thought it was like, oh, this is weird and different, but this is really cool. Then you gotta get that heavy stuff with Faith in there. And Miasma especially is a fantastic song. How many bands these days are going to have a cool ass saxophone solo in their songs? Not many, and Ghost pulls it off really well. Here we are almost at number 1. The reason I had to extend this list into a top 10 and revise the entire list. Number 1, it's The Silver Scream by Ice Nine Kills. I didn't manage to actually listen to this album all the way through until 2019. I heard some of the singles when listening on Google Play Music, but once I realized all the songs on this album were about horror movies, that really intrigued me. Like, I'm not even big into films, but just the concept that you can make an entire album of songs based on different horror movies is intriguing to me. It actually prompted me to go watch a bunch of the movies that the songs were based on. It Is the End in particular is my absolute favorite Ice Nine Kills song. Got me to actually go watch the new It movies. This album is solid from front to back, starting out with your good old Freddy song, The American Nightmare, going into Jason with Thank God It's Friday, and I tweet that song out every Friday the 13th that I remember to, at least. A crowd favorite seems to be A Grave Mistake, which is Honestly, what I consider one of the weakest songs on the album personally, but still a fantastic song. Stabbing in the Dark, Love Bites, The World in My Hands, Rocking the Boat. Oh my gosh, Merry Xmas. At one point, I kind of forgot about this song somehow. I can remember like the breakdown part in it, but I couldn't remember what song it was from. And I was trying desperately for days and days and days to remember what song the guitar part was from. And then randomly I'm listening to that song and that's what it was from. I cannot deny that that album is an absolute 10 out of 10. And the Silver Scream 2 is pretty damn good too. Alright everyone who may or may not have actually checked this video out, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you for taking some time to actually look at my opinion. Not that it really matters that much. I'm just some dude. But either way, I'm Luke. This is Stage 76.